Welcome. Welcome. Let me get my words. Welcome to this digital space, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here as we create sacred space together. I am Mary Carter Vale. I serve as religious educator for Summit UU Fellowship, and I'm also one of the adult observers on the PSWD Youth Board. While we are in separate spaces physically, we are together now, connected through our screens, through our UU faith, and through our hearts. We come together to share, to listen, to hold each other's hearts with the hope of sharing a moment of comfort and healing in a time of uncertainty, challenge, and fear. Let us be together. We want to acknowledge that each of us resides on unceded land that has been home to Indigenous communities for more than 10,000 years. The land that I am on is where the Mesa Grande and the Santa Isabel Band of the Kumeyaay Nation people have and are still residing. As this land has been and continues to be home to the nation of the Kumeyaay people, we recognize the violent history of colonization in California and in our nation, and honor the legacy of the continuing presence of the Kumeyaay Nation and many of the First People nations on this land. You are invited to take a moment to look up the land that you are on and acknowledge the Indigenous community that was and is native to your area by looking it up at an address that I will pop in the chat in a minute. And you are welcome to honor that name by sharing it in the chat if you'd like. So last week, we witnessed an attack on the capital of this nation. This was a domestic terrorist attack in that it was Americans attacking Americans. It was intentional, it was violent, and people died at the hands of other people. And we gathered today to hold each other in a virtual vigil as we process our feelings. Let us worship together.
Hello all, and thank you for coming today. Before we light the chalice, I'd like to say a few words. The acts of domestic terrorism that we saw last week were horrible, and the people involved need to be held accountable. If those rioters were a different skin color, the events of Wednesday would have been very different. Most of them would be dead. This is not what happened. Back in June, when African Americans marched for their life, they were beaten and gassed. On the other hand, white rioters walked into our nation's capital with little action from police and went home without facing justice. This is unacceptable, and we won't stand for it. I would now like to read a poem from Reverend Theresa Soto, Spilling the Light. Everything is still on fire, despite your best efforts. In addition to living, it is clear that fire or not, you must level up in what it means to thrive right now. That means wrestling with the truth and the fact that everything is not your fault. I am sorry that everything is still on fire. Once hate catches the wind of not my problem, blow and blaze is hard to stop. But hard is not impossible. Not yet is different than never. You in the community have an answer. You have a response to systems of power and control to the cost of suffering. You and our community together are the answer. You are not only a people of flame, but a people of cold, clear truth. You know both where you fall short and where you flourish, and where you still reach. Everything is still on fire, but all is not lost. You remain more nimble than steadfast, more unshaken than swayed by the latest rage. You are here to put out the ravenous flames and heal the world. Enough is enough. That was everything is still on fire. And now, we'll light the chalice.
Hello, everybody. I'm just lighting my own chalice here. It feels important to bring light into our midst in these times. My name is Marshall. I'm the new music director at UUFSD. I work with Allison and Reverend Joe and Joe Cantrell and some other people, and I'm very glad to see you all. I've met lots of the adults that are part of our community, and not so many of you, and so I'm really so happy to see all your faces, and I hope we get a chance to make some music together in the months and years and whatever time we get to spend together to come. And I thank you for allowing me this space to be here and to perhaps call us into feeling centered today. There is a lot of chaos out in the world. Out there, at least to me, feels very chaotic and much beyond my control. But in here, we can work to achieve a little bit of stillness. So I'd like to ask you all to sit in a comfortable position, but upright, nice tall, long torsos, and to just breathe deeply at your own pace. You might think of breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. You don't have to breathe at my timing, but be breathing deeply. Fill your lungs if you can, and empty them completely. When we breathe in, let us breathe in the spirit of peace. And when we breathe out, let us breathe out love. Let's take peace into our hearts and do what we can to put love out into the world. And we'll sing the words of this meditation together. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
I will will now be reading a poem by Beth Lefevre called We Are Whole. We are whole even in the broken places, even where it hurts. We are whole even in the broken places, the places where fear impedes our full engagement with life, where self-doubt corrupts our self-love, where shame makes our faces hot and our souls cold. We are whole even in those places where perfectionism blunts the joy of full immersion into person, place, activity, where good enough does not reside except in our silent longings, where our gaps must be fast filled with substance, accomplishment, or frenzied activity, lest they gape open in disgust. We are whole where we would doubt our own goodness, richness, fullness, and depth, where we would doubt our own significance, our own profoundness. We are whole even in our fragility, even where we feel fragmented, alone, insubstantial, insufficient. We are whole even as we are in process, even as we stumble, even as we pick ourselves up again, for we are whole. We are whole. Thank you.
If I had the chance, I'd take it faster than a heartbeat. If I caught a glance, I'd run to you like nobody was watching. But it's so hard to get to you. When you see the sun, I see the moon. Buckets of water, millions of clouds, miles of road just to get where you are. Oh, I wish it wasn't so far. Thousands of dollars just to be near, countless thoughts of you being here. Oh, I wish it wasn't so hard. But maybe one day we can break the distance. I know it's hard for everyone to understand it, but you're in my heart, even though it feels like we got stranded. And I wish I could get to you, see you face to face without a screen cutting through. Buckets of water, millions of clouds, miles of road just to get where you are. Oh, I wish it wasn't so far. Thousands of dollars just to be near, countless thoughts of you being here. Oh, I wish it wasn't so far. But maybe one day we can break the distance. Clouds, will you please help me out? I need to go and see them now. Pick me up off my feet. I know that it's crazy, but I'm here ready with my suitcase beside me. Buckets of water, millions of clouds, miles of road just to get where you are. Oh, I wish it wasn't so far. Thousands of dollars just to be near, countless thoughts of you being here. Oh, I wish it wasn't so hard. But maybe one day we can break the distance. Break the distance.
Thank you, Cayman. Thank you, Simone. What does a mob look like? In today's America, at least before January 6th, Trump and the conservative Christian base would point to people of color and Black Lives Matter protesters as the mobs, as the lawless, as the terrorists. The inherent white supremacy of our culture was all too ready to believe this narrative, and they would criminalize all that would say Black Lives Matter. How many times has we, as Unitarian Universalists, been pushed back upon when we say Black Lives Matter? We hear all lives matter or blue lives matter. I'm sure we've all seen those American flags on cars and stickers and baseball caps. It's the American flag, except all in black with that thin blue line. That thin blue line supposedly protecting us, the good ones, the Christian ones who believe in God, guns, and glory. I shy away from those people. I shy away from those people. They might as well be wearing MAGA hats or Klan robes to me. But on January 6th of January, last week, the myth of the Black mob and terrorists has been changed. We see with our own eyes that the people desecrating our capital were white. They look like people in our neighborhoods. The mom and dad who bring kids to soccer on Saturdays. The cousin who tinkers with his car on Sunday afternoons. It also looks like the kidnappers and terrorists you see in movies. Knives on their belts, a crazed look in their eyes. The mob looks like America because it is America. Over the last 4 years, building a long legacy of white Christian nationalism, the Trump administration has weaponized our constitutionally given freedom of religion to advance a very specific conservative Christian agenda. In Trump's world, the only thing that fits into the box marked religion is a brand of Christianity that is politically conservative and overwhelmingly white. It is this kind of religion, the only kind that gets to count, whose freedoms and values have been prioritized and protected. But that was last week. That was the past 5 years of our democracy, and our freedom of religion being chipped away has actually stopped. Tomorrow, there is a strong possibility that Trump will be impeached. The rats are jumping ship, and the Republicans who have pandered, catered, and encouraged him at every outrageous lie are turning on him. And I must admit, I am watching the videos of those conservative Christian terrorists being taken to jail with a perverse glee. But I am really petty that way. As we move forward with school, with our lives, with our religion and churches, what can we do as Unitarian Universalists to affect change? To make sure that this fascism, the definition of what is holy, will never be made to be so narrow again. Well, for one thing is to be kind to ourselves. We will do what we can when we have the energy to do it. This crisis was not made in a day, and it won't be unmade in a day. But it will be unmade every day by you. You are so powerful. Your voice matters. Your opinions matter. So I am going to encourage you to listen to that voice in your head or that knot in your stomach. When something isn't right, reflect on it. And after you have figured out what is wrong, then you can act on it. Push your teachers and school administration to teach the whole history, not just the history that has been written by the victors. When you hear a person at church say, "Why do we have to do this land acknowledgement? Do we have to do it every Sunday?" You can say to them, no matter what their age, yes, we have to do it on every Sunday because we are on stolen land and we occupy it. It's the least we can do is we can acknowledge it. Every moment you speak your truth, You speak our truth. You widen our freedom of religion. You widen and enrich Unitarian Universalism, pushing us further into the mainstream, into making radical changes that need to happen in this white supremacist culture of ours. Deanna Hardy says, it only takes one voice at the right pitch to start an avalanche. Go be that avalanche, because I know you can be.
Thank you, Allison, for being my teacher tonight. And more than just tonight. It's kind of, a normal occurrence that I'm learning from you. I'd like to share a song with you. It's by Susan Werner, Werner. It's called Why Is Your Heaven So Small? Normally, I like to choose songs that are familiar, but I sort of hope that you haven't heard this one before, because I remember the very first time I heard this song, I was so moved by its message and the very simple question that it asks. So here's the song, Susan Werner. Why is your heaven so small? Excuse me, sir, what did you say? When you shout so loud, it's hard to tell. You say that I must change my ways, for I am surely bound to hell. Well, I know you damn me if you could, but my friend, that's simply not your call. If God is great and God is good, why is your heaven so small? You say you know, you say you've read that holy Bible upon your shelf. Do you recall when Jesus said, judge not, lest ye be judged yourself? Well, I know you damn me if you could, but my friend, that's simply not your call. If God is great and God is good, why is your heaven so small? With your fists that shake and your eyes that burn, what makes you do these things you do? I would not be surprised to learn someone somewhere excluded you. But my friend, imagine it if you would. A love much mightier than a song. Oh, if God is great and God is good, why is your heaven so small? If God is great and God is
you, Marshall. Okay. I will now ask for people to join me in the spirit of prayer. Breathe. Listen. Breathe. Do you hear the lamentation of the people? Of the peoples whose ancestral lands have been taken? Of the peoples taken from their motherlands? Of those mourning countless lives lost to pandemic, to hate, to oppression? Breathe. Listen. Really listen to our grieving. Honor our day of mourning. This isn't the world we have always lived in, but it is the world in which we struggle now, in which our children's futures are not certain. Genocide, slavery, generational poverty, lack of health care, police brutality, legal systems of institutionalized murder. Deep sigh. Breathe. Listen. Breathe. Where do we hear comfort being offered? Where do we hear voices raised in solidarity with us, your Black, brown, Indigenous, people of color, and queer family members? Where do we hear hope? Breathe. Listen. Really listen. Where are those bending the arc towards justice for historical harms done, for generational trauma inflicted, for current damage being wrought? Who is accompanying us along a shared journey toward wholeness and holiness? Breathe. Listen. Really listen. Where is that someone with more love for Black and brown children? Where is that somewhere with more hope for Indigenous women? Where is that somewhere with more peace for trans folks? Where is that somewhere with more joy? Breathe. Breathe. Listen as we try to breathe.
Thank you, Rao. That was really beautiful. At this time, I would like to open it up to people if they would like to, don't have to, but if you want to share your thoughts, your feelings, the emotions that you're feeling right now, we would love to hear them. I would love to center the youth voices first, and you all know how to do this. And if you would like to speak, just raise your hand and I will scroll through and unmute you.
Hi. So I guess I can get us started because I've had a lot of various feelings about this past week. And in my English class at school, my English teacher put aside some time for all of us to have a conversation about it. And I was really scared to speak in that conversation because, like, seeing the amount of people who could do such harm, I was scared to see the people that I connect with the most have different beliefs that could harm me and my friends. So I would love to share with all of you because I feel much more accepted and on equal ground with all of you. And I don't know how I feel. I feel angry and sad and embarrassed of everything we stand upon. A lot of people have said that this is not like our America, this is not who we are, but just showing how far back this goes, it is who we are, and it just definitely is proving itself to be more presentable in today's society, and it has not gone away. And I'm so angry. In my English class, I had I had a panic attack and a meltdown. I had to go out of class and email my teacher because I don't know the emotions. There's just so much. So I am sad and angry that this could go on for so long. So that's it. Thank you.
Can I say something? Okay. I think I'm mostly it's astonishing to me how when the Black Lives Matter people were protesting, they were brought back with so much force. And the only things that you saw on the news about those protests were all the looting and all of the horrible things that were happening. We didn't see any pictures from the peacefulness that was going on, and what we wanted wasn't heard. And now there are people storming the Capitol. I'm pretty sure 4 people died there, and nobody's being held responsible for it. I saw something that said that they were getting up to like a year in prison, which when they were arresting the people from the Black Lives Matter protests, they wanted to put them in for life. And there's just such a double standard there that it makes me so mad that I can't do anything about it. Because if I could, I mean, I like sign all these petitions that I see, but I don't really know if that's actually helping. And I really wish that there was something that I could do, but it just feels like I'm stuck, and there's nothing I can do about it. So that also angers me.
All right. Sorry. Earlier today on Twitter, I saw a tweet and it had a quote from an article. And it said, "This is not America," a woman said to a small group, her voice shaking. "They're shooting at us. They're supposed to shoot BLM, but they're shooting the Patriots." And I got physically sick. I've been ignoring just how stressed I am about the situation. And when I saw that, it put a sour taste in my mouth, and I could not, because I was just overwhelmed mentally, and that led to physically. Because when they say they're shooting the Patriots, they weren't being patriotic at all. They tried to overturn a government building. That's treason. That is the opposite of what a patriot should be considered. It baffles me just how full of hate this country is. And like there's an instilled sense of fear that I have. And it's scary. 6 days into 2021, and there was an attack on a government building. If there's anything I was not expecting, it would be that. And what really doesn't make sense to me is that it was like Republicans on Republicans attacking themselves, because that's where the political parties are at this point. No one knows what anyone stands for, except like there's the people that are bigots and racist, and then there are people that aren't. And that's how I've learned to like interact with people or not, because especially in this time, if anyone even shows some sense of like bigotry, I cannot deal with them because I'm just too stressed with what's going on in the world. And like Simone said, in my class, it wasn't English, but it was in chemistry today, we had a conversation and everyone seemed to be like in the mind. Sorry, I think I got kicked. I'm back. I got kicked from the meeting. My bad. My Wi-Fi has been kind of all over the place, so I'm not sure where I cut off.
Chemistry class.
Right, chemistry. Like Simone said, my chemistry teacher let us have time in class to talk about it. And while everyone seems to be like on the side of my perspective, there were a few kids that I was just like uncomfortable at hearing what they had to say because they seemed unsure of whether they agreed or disagreed with what happened. And the fact that they didn't know what to say about the attack scared me. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with what everybody was saying. Like Lee said, none of this was patriotic. It was the complete opposite. I think it's embarrassing how supporters of our own president are attacking, like chipping away at our democracy, and they're willing to like put lives at risk, and like 4 people died. It's like people are becoming so polarized, and I wouldn't even call these people Republican. They're just, I don't know, I don't know. But people are like losing their integrity and they won't even accept the democratic process, which is just insane to me. And it is very scary. That's it.
Oh, can you hear me? Awesome. Okay. So I had some thoughts about just how scary it is that this is such a, and there have been so many of these before, but just a clear demonstration of how powerful white supremacists are in this country in the way that their white privilege, I guess would be the term in this case, allowed them to get away with this. That they announced they were protesting here. People knew they were going to be armed, and they knew that what happens at these kinds of Trump protests and that kind of stuff. And because they were white, there weren't the proper measures taken place to prepare something that would be able to control this. And because of that, it got out of hand. And then again, after they had broken into the Capitol, when they were leaving, they weren't arrested. There's the video of the person helping one of them down the stairs. It's that they were allowed to leave because of this white privilege and because they're white supremacists, and that this institutional power that is given to white supremacists and white people allowed this to happen.
I don't see. Oh, good. Okay. Emma?
For me, the class that talked about it the most has been my psychology class. And we got into a topic about stereotyping, which I don't believe that anyone should be stereotyped unfairly. But someone brought up stereotyping Trump supporters and saying that just because someone's a Trump supporter doesn't mean that they're going to hurt you or harm you in any way. But I feel like these recent events have just proven that to be incorrect. So for me, when I'm out like with my girlfriend, for example, I have to use stereotypes for my own personal safety because I don't feel safe around Trump supporters anymore. I guess I never really did feel safe, but I wasn't actively worried for my safety. But now I am. And I think that's really sad that people have to do that. That's all.
Today in my science class, someone held up a white supremacy symbol to their camera, and I was scared. I was appalled because the teacher didn't say anything. I mean, I wasn't surprised. This person in their background on Zoom always has an American flag, and their profile picture on Zoom is the Blue Lives Matter flag with the blue stripe. But it's just scary that this is acceptable. And I think that the riot that happened in the storming of the Capitol just sent a horrible message out that it is okay to be a white supremacist, and it's not. And that was really scary today.
You are so loved. And I want to honor all of the feelings and all of the anxiety, all of the scaredness that is here and present. But I also really want to lift up that we are together. We are here. You have us. You have each other. You have every adult. Got your back. If you want to speak, I will be right next to you, cheering you on. Mary Carter Vale is a great cheerleader as well. We will, and Kata Lyric, oh my God, we will raise the roof. Right, Scott, oh my gosh, there's Ernie, Marshall. There are so many people that have your back that you should never, ever feel alone, because you're not. And you're never powerless. And while those people throw those signs around of hatred, I would write the teacher and I would say, this is unacceptable. I do not feel safe because of this person. And there are still rules. There are still laws in this country that make what that person did wrong and illegal. And there are actions that can be taken. You can do this. I know you can. You are so strong and you are so loved. I'm so proud of you, all of you. I'm so proud that you get up and breathe every day, because face it, it's been insane. It's been insanity. And adults are just trying to cope as well. But we got you and we've got each other. I'd like to turn it over to Ohana for our chalice extinguishing words.
Okay. When I was a child, someone told me that if you hold a seashell to your ear, you can hear the ocean. When I was in middle school, I learned that what you hear is not the ocean. It's just the blood rushing through your ears, and that's fine. But I still wonder if a broken seashell has any kind of good song. The song of half a wave might be a measure of grief. The Bay of Fundy when it's empty, the bacteria flats in Yellowstone, streaming copper and blue, smelling of sulfur and somehow a cradle for life. Anklets of kelp forest. Even mostly empty, the ocean cannot help but brim with tokens of aliveness, reminders of beauty, and the plain, unabashed assurance that broken things, seashells, people, and times of love, have beauty all of their own. If we can dance in the offbeat, if we can stand a little grit with the gorgeous gifts of this wide world.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Thank you to Allison for organizing, and Mary. Brian, I believe Brian, I'm double checking. Brian spoke to us a little bit ago about privilege, and that word has a context in our society now. And it's good for us to recognize that. But I want to use the word in a different way and say that it has really been my privilege tonight to learn from all of you and to be here with you. I thank you for allowing me to lead us in some singing. I don't know if Cayman is on the call, but their song was gorgeous, stunning. I see some musical instruments. Simone, I see a guitar in the background, I think behind you, a guitar neck. Anyone who wants to make music anytime, feel free to reach out. I'll chuck my email in the chat. It's just Marshall with 2 L's at uufsd.org. Would be very happy to think through music, think through songs. Songs have always helped me sort of deal with what's out there in the world. And this one is no exception. I only just learned our closing song today, Blue Boat Home, a few months ago when I started working at the fellowship. And Reverend Joe is here. It was our first service together, and we sang this song, Blue Boat Home. And you are our ship's companions. We are ship's companions together on this little blue boat. And so I just want to echo what Allison said on behalf of all of the adults here in this space. We are here for you, and we want to be here for you, if you will let us be, and if you need us to be. So we'll sing this song together. I wish I could hear you all singing it out loud. Maybe we'll get up to Debanaville at some point and sing it together in person. That would be amazing. But for now, I'll sing it. You can please sing along at home. Thanks again for being here tonight. It's very, very special. And reach out to any of us with anything you need.
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all our kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the light of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean we travel, and the earth is our blue boat home.
Thank you all. Have a blessed good evening. I love you. Thank you for trusting us and this community. Love you.